Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the OS Talk. Today is January 11th, and we have quite a few guests today, and we have quite an interesting topic to go over. I'm going to introduce our guests, and then we'll get into that. First off, we have my co-host Deadbeat. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well, thank you.
All right, and we've got one of the United Kingdom's finest, Doomsday, here with us. How you doing, Doomsday?
Hello there, I'm doing pretty good.
That's good to hear. And then we've got our Superman here, our OS Idol superstar, not the
What?
singing one, but Wub Wub Wolf. Yeah, I'm gonna play you up, man.
I'm Wolf
People
of
love
Wiener,
you.
you lawyer.
No,
All right.
see, we're not going to say that you decided to go and get some Oscar Mayer wieners and you wanted to eat. So we're just gonna call you Wub Wolf Wolf.
Hi.
All right. Anyways, so basically the discussion, yeah, good job there. The discussion we're going on about today is guest difficulties versus mapping an entire set. And this is something that's talked about in Mod Help quite a bit. And I know some of the people that are taking part with us, we're going to hear from them from complete play side of the things, not so much as the mapping side, but that's good. We also have Doomsday. He's fairly common to the mapping scene as long as myself, and we'll try to shed light on that. So the first question I've got to ask to everyone here that's taking part in the discussion is, what do you prefer? Do you prefer a map set that's created solely by one creator, or do you like the variety that guest difficulty sets bring to the table? And we'll take this straight off the line, and we'll start with the player perspective with Wubba Wolf here. So,
Well,
what are your thoughts?
does a guest diff count as a collab, like in the one map set?
Yeah, that's fine as well too.
Well, collabs are pretty interesting because you suddenly jump from a different style of mapping to something other. So I prefer collabs, so guest mapping personally.
So you prefer the guest mapping. And what about you, Doomsday? What's your say on it?
I'm with I'm with Wolf. I like collabs as well. I really find them really interesting. But in terms of map set overall, I do prefer ones that are made by one person because the whole thing it's like a nice one hole in it. Guest difficulties can be interesting, different mapping styles. But if you look at the whole thing as a whole with the guest difficulty in it, the guest difficulty it very rarely fits in. If you know what I mean.
Oh
Overall,
yeah, most definitely.
yeah. So overall, I do prefer a map set that's one person made every single difficulty because it goes together very well.
Well, see, that's a little bit interesting. I wasn't actually thinking about that too much when I was writing this up. I probably should have put that as a subsection itself. But collabs are a type of guest difficulty in a sense. I mean, it's both the mapper and the person that's collabing with them contributing on one map set itself. And usually those do tend to fare well. I'm on the side myself personally, like you, Doomsday. I like seeing a collab difficulty. I really do, especially if it's like the hardest one. Those are usually pretty cool. But I really don't like it, and unfortunately I'm a victim, not a victim, but I'm a definite cause of this too. I tend to use a lot of guest difficulties myself, and I notice even myself looking back on my older work, it usually feels more consistent when it's something I've put together completely.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was thinking. Really, it's just
Actually, now that I come to think of it, sometimes collab maps are a pain in the arse. But like the previous creator of the section is like really slow. Like sliders start to slow down, and the other 1 second, and there's poof, you like get this boost, and out of nowhere sometimes.
Yeah, that's inconsistent. I feel that that's just inconsistency with the previous mapper's vision for it, and that's one thing that you'll start to see with people that have done a lot of collab sets a lot. And don't worry, Deadbeat, I didn't forget you. We're gonna get to you. But people that have done collab sets a lot, you notice they'll usually tend to stick with the previous mapper's settings. They won't adjust the slider velocity unless there's a good reason to in the song or stuff. But when you see a lot of new people starting out with the collab mapping, you do run into that quite a lot. And the older collab maps, you run into that a lot, where it's, say, for example, the whole map is dang near like 1.2 distance snap and a slider velocity of 1.8 or 1.9. And then you get to this one specific section, and the slider velocity is now 2.6, and the distance spacing is 1.4. And you're like, what the
These
hell
maps are
just
good for
happened?
multiplayer when nobody else played it, and you're like, "Ha, what a troll!"
That's
Yeah,
true, isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
and
I guess that's one way things have kind of improved since then. You know, I mean, there's a bunch of collabs from like the old era that are like Boundary of Space and all that, which is basically like you say, it's between every mapper there's like a clunk where it completely changes and doesn't really fit in.
mhm.
Maybe I'm just old because I like that. I don't know, but I know in modern collabs, like when people map parts in that, they're much more aware of how the map is and all that. And it in modern collab maps, if you played without like some sort of like storyboard where you knew where the map had changed, you couldn't really tell when it changed, and that's probably a good thing overall.
All right, cool. It actually looks like we might have Sharpie with us too. Not 100% sure on that, but he did just join. Deadbeat, if you can make sure he's got that together, or Bianco or somebody, that's fine, because Deadbeat actually needs to get to his part of it. What do you prefer, man?
I like a nice balance between the two of them. Because, as you were saying, like, a lot of new players like using collabs, which in a sense is fine. But after a while, you kind of want to see more of a particular mapper. And if they keep using collabs, then you don't get the satisfaction of playing their maps, because most of the time it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So generally, I like seeing a nice balance between the two of them. It definitely does depend as well, like who's also guest mapping, who's doing the set. So many variables to take in. It's a pain.
Yeah, and speaking of variables here, if Sharpie would like to take part in the next question, if he's willing to, that's fine, but we'll move on to the next one. That way we've got plenty of time for community questions, as there's quite a few community members this time. So with the variables, what are the advantages to each different way? Like, say you have a map set that's almost all guess difficulties versus an entire one. Which one has the better pros and cons here? And we'll go over that list, and we'll start off with Doomsday this time. What do you feel has better advantages for each different type? A guess difficulty or a solid set? And Doomsday might not be here right now. So I will go ahead and I'll go ahead and give my points on it, and hopefully Doomsday will be back. I feel that maps have an advantage when using collabs well, one of the things you don't see anymore, though, is way back in the day, you used to be able to use, like, say, for example, you'd have an MP3 and there'd be a remix of it that's slightly the same BPM, stuff like that. You'd actually be able to throw in multiple songs into one set, although it'd all be considered the one song. And that's something that was actually pretty fun, and guest collabs in that were really good. Another thing is full collab sets, where the entire map is nothing but collab difficulties through the entire thing. Those are a lot of fun and fun to enjoy. But single sets offer more stability, and they offer more playability, in my opinion, because you don't have to worry about those strange misses or weird accuracy hikes that come with people deciding to change the style, or deciding that they really feel that this part in the dubstep song needs a super slowed down slider, while their other mapper didn't really think of anything. Alright, so I guess Deadbeat, we'll go with you. I don't think Doomsday's back yet, and then we'll go with Wubble Wolf, and we'll find out what's going on there.
Yeah, I kind of
My
agree with
apologies
what
on
you were
that
saying. It's quite interesting to see variety in maps, especially when you have more than one mapper, because generally you'll see maybe like 2 or 3 Insanes for one map, and it's because of the guest mappers. So it's also quite interesting to see how some people map the same song in a different way, and it also gives, like, if you don't like one Insane, you've got another you can pick from. But at the same time, then when you've got one person doing the whole thing, you've got that stability you're talking about, where you can kind of expect the same sort of gameplay from each difficulty, just at a higher or different level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense there. Doomsday, we'll go ahead and move on to you, and then we'll finish it up with Wubble Wolf there. What do you feel are advantages to each way that a map can be created, with collaboration efforts towards all the creators or the entire set? What are the pros and cons of each?
Yeah, I'm mirroring the same thing that you said about single sets. Yeah, it's more stable. The whole thing is it's a collected whole. You know, the style's all the same. The difficulty is very even. It's all very good. But I feel collabs, well, for starters, guest difficulties give a little bit of a different mapping perspective, of course, because mappers, different mappers map it different ways and such, and it adds like a nice little twist on that. And to be honest, as a player, I do have a secret little soft spot for maps, where how they have a bunch of insane difficulties by different mappers, because that gives me a lot of variety to play with a single song, even though from a mapping standpoint it's a bit messy. Guest difficulties adds a bit more variety from a player's perspective, even though it doesn't really work in a mapping perspective. From players, it does work quite well.
Yeah. All right, and from a player's viewpoint, Wolf, what do you think are the advantages to each one?
Well, maybe not from a player point of view, but I just think that it's easier to map when you make a collab, because you don't run out of ideas to map the beat map. So
That's very true.
From the player's point of view, well, I think everything was said. that consistency is the most important.
Yeah, and consistency can be an issue when it happens, but for the most part nowadays it's not that big of a problem. I've actually moved a couple of the questions forward, as we're going to try to get more for the community here, and the other one we kind of knocked it out of the park with the last one, so we don't really
I did notice that.
Yeah, so moving forward, for everyone here, do you feel that having guest maps makes the ranking process take longer? And
not really.
You don't think so, Doomsday? Care to go in on that?
Yeah, I don't really think it does, because well, it really depends on that guest mapper, because for the majority, when you got majority of guest mappers, when they step forward and say, hey, can I make a guest difficulty for your map? Or the mapper says, hey, could you make a guest difficulty? So that mapper's they usually they're pretty quick with making changes to whatnot when it's required. And a lot of the time, the guest mapper says, to the actual mapper and saying, hey, if anything needs changing, you can do it. So for the most part, it doesn't really add a whole lot. It's only when you have that one mapper, one guest mapper who makes a difficulty, gives it, say, here you go, and then leaves it and then never looks at the thread again. That's when it makes things take a bit longer.
Yeah, and I was kind of going to go on that. I feel that personally, while it can speed up the process sometimes itself, it also can definitely slow it down. And the reasons are, like you stated, you have problems with people. Like, some people won't consent to giving the mapper the full freedom to change the map, which I can understand. They feel that it's their creation and they want some creative freedom on it, and they want the ability to change it to their ability. But regardless of that, the thing in the matter is when you get in there and, like you said, someone hasn't replied for 2-3 weeks, maybe even longer, and then you decide to make the changes, and then they pop up and they're like, no, you need to revert that, and then it just puts your map into this locked limbo, and you never really see anything from it. I've had a couple guest map projects actually die off because of that. You'd have it they don't want it to change and they refuse to work with the bats. And I think that's more on a personal level, though, on how someone sees a map, than as just saying, oh, guest difficulties will always take longer. Because there's sometimes, like you said, people can come in and they'll just blow it out, Anyways.
Yeah. When you were saying about people not wanting to change the creation, that's more a general mapping thing rather than specific to guest difficulties, I guess. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It is, like I say, you can put that towards any kind of map, really. Mm-hmm. I do see what your point is, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and talk to Deadbeat on this. Deadbeat, what do you feel? Do you feel that it makes it take longer, or do you feel that there's nothing around with it?
Well, if everyone's on top of what they're doing, theoretically it would actually be faster, because you've got multiple difficulties being mapped at the same time. Mm-hmm. So the actual mapping stage would be fast as well.
Yeah.
When you get to the modding though, assuming people just don't, as you say, just disappear and then not come back, I don't think it would take that much longer in general anyway.
Yeah.
There might be, the mapper and the creator might have small disagreements about what should be changed and what shouldn't. Mm-hmm. But I don't really think it would take that much longer anyway.
Yeah.
All in all, I think it would take a bit faster, just because that mapping part
Yeah, and I think the creation itself is definitely faster. It's just like you said, when it gets down to the nitty gritty and you're down there and you're looking for your mods and stuff, you have to assume that that person's going to be able to put as much time as you. We were hoping to actually get Andrea to talk about this because he's one of the biggest guest map collabors there are out there. He's got tons of them, and not just for his own maps. I mean, he's shelled out hundreds of guest maps himself as well. But anyways, Sharpie, do you have anything to put onto that?
Yep. First of all, do you hear me? Right?
Yes.
Is it sound strong? Okay.
Yeah, you're all good.
What do I think about that? I will say that I think that everyone was thinking that with this new system, it will be like everyone will have bats everywhere, but that's not really the case for me. You still need some friends which are in the bat team, but I mean the bad thing I would see is more. I want to see more bats maybe on the new players. I mean, for me, new players are people who are starting mapping, because it's really the thing we should take care about, because this is, I don't really know how to say it, but they are really important, because we're living thanks to the players. So yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say about the new bat team, because I didn't really take care of it. But yeah, I think the new system is better.
Yeah.
But we should focus on maybe on the new player, not on friends. I think we have seen some cases about it, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's, as time goes on and the system gets more towards that automated sense, that things like that aren't going to happen as much. At least that's what I hope for. I hope that it'll all be streamlined and everybody will have pretty much equal opportunity. That's what I think this thing's geared towards. At the end of the day, is equal opportunity for all creators, players alike.
Yep, just a case of getting that out there, and like I say, at the moment, it's not everyone can have everything at like an instant. Have a bit of patience, but like I say, hopefully that comes along and that will speed things up.
Yeah. All right, and I gotta say it just for the hilarity, because the name's there, and I just keep on staring at it. Wolf with Wiener.
Oh, yeah.
What
The best name.
What is your take on that? Do you think do you watch maps before they get ranked, or do you just play them? Do you just knock them out?
Well, if I check out some maps, I get many requests to like test play, and sometimes I do check them out. But why do I ask?
Yeah,
I lost the trail.
Oh, it's not a problem, man. We kind of rambled. Do you follow maps when they're getting ranked, and do you feel that guest maps make the ranking process take longer?
Oh, the mapper question. Well, I think they do, because it's hard to contact people sometimes, and the people must be, responsible to the process. So if somebody is slacking off, I think it is harder.
All right.
I suppose just quickly, the last thing, that all purely depends on if the actual guest mappers want to take responsibility for their map. If they give the actual creator the freedom to change what they will, it wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, it's about like, if that guest mapper, actually wants to get the whole thing moving forward. It's like, if he gives a map to a mapper, and it's, it's his responsibility to keep working on it if things need to be done. And if he doesn't want to do that, tell the mapper, you do it, and that will keep things rolling along. If he just leaves it, then yes, it's going to hold things up.
All right. I'm going to actually combine 4 and 5 together, because they seem like a good thing to mush together. I was kind of writing these in a hurry. Yep. Fun times here at the Oath Talk. We totally have our shit together. Anyway.
Professional.
Yeah, totally.
Professional.
When do you guys feel, and this is for anybody who wants to answer, and I'm not going to run down through this one because this one's kind of specified. When do you guys feel too much effort has gone into a map set, and it might be better for that creator to just break away and create their own set? And anybody can put that on. I'll open it up to give an idea of what kind of stuff I would assume, but to each their own. One guest set that is easily brought up and probably one of the bigger ones that's talked about is when me and Blue Dragon decided, yeah, I'm bringing Blue Dragon into this. When we decided to break away from Sushi's Airman map and post our Redonkulous Airman. And now, you got to remember that this thing was, in my opinion, my eyes, it was a joke. I didn't really want it to do anything. I just wanted to make something hilarious because the name of the song was Can't Defeat Airman. And I'm
It
like,
is the joke.
yeah, it's like, you can't defeat Airman. And I'm like, man, I wonder if there was a map that was so hard you really couldn't beat it. And now what's scary is a lot of people can pass that. But back when it was created, it was like, what the fuck? You know? And a lot of people had problems with it. But Sushi was like, I had uploaded it, he added it to his set and everything. And he's like, wow, this is hilarious. And then Blue Dragon started adding onto it. And he's like, this is really freaking cool, but I really don't want it in my set. And he's like, it's just too crazy, and it completely accents off what I'm trying to do for a whole. And we were fine with that. But Blue Dragon was very adamant on making this a thing. He said it was like the best thing since sliced bread, and we needed to upload it. And so I gave him full creation freedom. I'm like, go ahead and take my parts, do whatever you want. I don't care. And that's when we broke away from it. And it actually worked out good in the end, I guess. I mean, a lot of people play the crap out of it. Although I kind of feel bad because it seems like Sushi's map, which I felt was really good, kind of got overshadowed. But that's where one case I've seen where it actually worked out in a positive light. Does anybody else have anything on that?
I just wanted to ask you, what about My Little Pony map? That is made by you.
Oh, the Rainbow Dash Likes Girls?
Yeah.
That was actually, like, so me and Blue Dragon, we were just sitting there, you know, one day, and we're like, man, you know what can make people hate us even more? What? If we release the same damn shit, but make it harder. So...
With the pony song.
Yeah, with the pony song. Well, the pony song was my idea, obviously, but I started throwing out parts for it, and Blue Dragon threw out parts, and then Blue Dragon's like, I don't know, it's a pony song, I really don't want to do it. I'm like, hey man, I let you upload Airman, let me upload this, and he gave up on it, and I took it, and I managed to get it into the approval state. Hooray.
Alright, thanks.
Not a problem. Okay, anybody else on that topic though?
Yeah, when he was on about that, yeah, about well, the reason why you went on your own is because Sushi didn't want it. So
Yeah.
and, yeah. When you're on about, you know, when it feels like it's been too much, when you've gone, you know, you put too much effort in. I think it's when, you know, you're making one difficulty for a map. Yeah, that's all right. But if you go and make another one, and like say, oh, this is just guess difficulty, it's like when you make two difficulties for a map, that's like, it's a bit much. You might as well just make it yourself.
Yeah.
When you're making more than one map maybe making more than one difficulty for a map, that's when it's going a bit overboard.
Yeah,
I don't
and it's
quite
Go ahead,
agree
Debbie.
with that one, because I've seen some maps where like two people have made a full set and they've worked out quite well.
Yeah, that's true actually, that's true. But I mean, in the case of like, you got someone who's made 4 difficulties on their own, and then some guys come along and made 2 difficulties for it, which happens quite a bit from what I've seen.
or even more, sometimes you'll see people that make 3, and then it's like, really, man? I feel like that's an oversaturation of one map set. You could literally break those 3 difficulties off and probably make your own. And also, I haven't seen it as much, but I used to, back in the day, you'd see these people get guest difficulties, and the guest mapper would go and make this incredible storyboard and do all this really cool stuff. And then if the map didn't make it, the guest mapper would take it, because, I mean, that's a lot of work they put into it, and they just go and turn it into their own set.
Yeah, that's true. Well, obviously with permission, that's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah,
If
I think
someone gives up
Jericho ended up doing that, because I know he used to do a lot of Nightcore storyboards and stuff, and I think he made a couple for a couple people, and they decided not to use them, or they just decided to give up on the map, and he turned around and ended up making the map himself.
Speaking of Jericho, I actually asked if he wanted to join in on this, and I'm kind of sad that he didn't now.
Yeah, he would have been great too, because he had a lot of guest difficulties way back in the day.
Oh
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
He did a lot
just
of things with
to
Andrea as well, didn't he?
just to add on to this, with breaking away from sets, I think kind of what you were saying with Airman is about right. Like when what the guest mapper wants and what the creator wants are 2 different things. I think that's a good point to break off and do your own thing as well.
Sorry about that. I had a drink of soda. Oh man. Anyways, anybody else got anything to put on that, or we'll just move on to the next subject, which should be a lot easier for a lot of people to give points on. Yep,
Yeah,
I'm gonna take that as a yes. I'm gonna take that as a big oh yes. Okay, so the next one, this is for everybody that's here, and don't worry, community, we're getting to you. What are some examples of good guest sets and creator collabs? And I could just go out there and say that, well, it's probably not the best example. I really like those mega mashups that have a whole bunch of different collabs. I've done one. I've seen a couple other ones done. There was one that I really liked that had Lardo, Jarby, Agent Spin here, and a whole bunch of the old crew in my idea that they did. I can't remember the name of the song now, and that's gonna drive me nuts. But that was a pretty good example of good collab sets. I don't know. The Anime Ascension melody, that was just one person, wasn't it? Or
Which
was
one?
that a collab? The Anime Ascension melody, that like 13-minute mix.
Oh
Oh,
god, I don't remember that, to be honest.
I think I know what one you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know either actually. I can't remember.
Yeah, there was also there was a King Kevin brings up Metal Mario, M980. Oh yeah, that's an older collab too. The one with Mario, Luigi, and Peach. Hydian, I think. Yeah, that was kind of a fun collab. Chocobo.
There's a few in there.
Well, Chocobo, I can
Chocobo.
remember.
Chocobo was a fucking crazy collab.
Oh yeah. Anything made by Mark as a collab was pretty ace. In an
Yeah.
old style kind of way.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
That new one, the new one that Azer uploaded, that collab was pretty good as well. I don't know if
I
you
haven't
played
got a
that.
chance to check that.
I forget the name of it, but oh god, if you don't, it was recently approved. Some of you might know it. Yeah, that one, Ocarina, sorry, that one with the sweet storyboard. That's a pretty good example as well.
Yeah, and I mean, that's probably the best thing I would want for when I see a collab is like these really awesome joint efforts, like fully done. And collab doesn't just mean that they have to, take part in the map itself. Storyboarding, hit sounding, all kinds of stuff like that can contribute towards a map set becoming awesome. Like, Don't Stop Me Now is probably the best collaborative effort that OS is. I don't want to like go out and say it's the absolute best because I know there's all kinds of really cool content out there. But M980 might have made the map for that, but Luigi Han helped with the storyboard like dramatically, and so did Metal Mario with hit sounds and stuff like that. That was a huge collaborative effort. Even though
It's really ace, yeah.
yeah, even though the map sets were created by one person, that still doesn't change the fact that it was definitely a collaborative effort.
Yeah, you can say the same thing about a few things, like that recently the Far East Nightbird Course K remix. That's kind of a similar thing. The map set has lots of guest difficulties, with the storyboard being made by Damnar. It's like each bit of it was made by a different person.
That was a great map.
Similar,
It really
kind of
was.
things. Oh yeah, that is an excellent map. That's one of the best maps to come out in years.
Oh yeah, King Kevin's also bringing up the Jardo series.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jardo's
those-
pretty
nostalgia
as well.
right there. We need more of
Yeah.
those.
yeah,
Actually
it
made
was-
some good collabs.
It was pretty intense.
Number 3
But,
was like right in the fields, man. Right in the fields.
I wasn't exactly too happy that they blew up my Weeaboo anime Moonbase, but it's
that was
whatever.
funny.
But
My personal favorite, like guest diffs, is Bless You X Happy 30. I remember
Oh,
always mapping together. I mean, not together the diff, but together the separate difficulties.
yeah, but they
Especially
they
quite a lot of
collabed on quite
collabs.
bit of things.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
well, true. I had a Necrophantasia, for example, in my mind right now.
another great map.
Yeah, Leisure and Glady also I say go really well because their mapping styles are so very similar but different. They go so well together. It's a shame they don't. Well, Leisure isn't really around anymore.
Yeah, they did a few
Yeah.
good collab sets. We do need more like them.
Okay, so we've kind of hit pretty hard on the positive base. Sharpie, is there anything you have on good examples of great collabs
Yeah,
throughout the community?
I had Azar maps, but yeah, nothing in my head.
Nothing in your head?
No.
All right. Well, now that we've kind of hit on the positive subject there, let's go ahead and kind of turn it down on the negative scale a little bit. And we don't like to do that much here, but it's something that definitely needs to be talked. Now, what are some personal? So, by any means, we're not calling these bad. We're just we're calling them bad, each individual person, yes. But that is not what everyone here thinks as a whole. And what are some bad examples of guest and creator collabs? And my first one's probably going to piss off a lot of people that worked with me, at least. But I feel that my Flyaway Back On, the first one, that was fucking horrible. Like, if I look at it now, I'm just like, it was so disconnected, so unorganized, it was just bad. Now, the With You featuring me one, it was a little bit better, but I still wasn't really too good with the whole collabing stuff, and I kind of saw maps as, this is how I want to do it, and forget how anybody else is doing it. And that's why it created so many inconsistencies that was just, like, bad.
I think I kind of started that second one, didn't I?
Yeah. The first
That
one
was
was pretty bad, though.
Yeah, the second one was my fault. Totally my fault.
Yeah.
I have a good example for that. Personally,
Oh, really?
I think it's not the best collaboration. It's not right now. This map is qualified. It's not ranked. It's Pharrell Williams Happy.
Oh!
Like the reboot of old, mappers like Yeah, Glady, Happy 30, and Lizette. I think they were forced to map in a new style. And I personally think this is not their style at some part, at least.
Ah.
And
Well,
sometimes,
that's interesting.
yeah, maybe that's because of the effects. Sometimes they just don't fit at all for me.
Yeah, and that might also be, like you said, with the fact that it's new. And I'm glad you brought up something newer, because that just shows that these kind of issues still do happen. And do you feel that it was the modding process that brought it down, or do you feel that it was just like with the way the new mapping system works and how sliders are created and stuff like that, it just kind of put them in a hard spot?
Yeah, I think that they knew they have to map differently, not like they can like Orshank, Oran SHC. He maps like in old style, and here I think he was forced to map differently.
Yeah, and that just might be because the fan base is changed so much since when they used to actually map consistently and everything, and now what people expect to see is this completely different thing from when they were used to mapping.
Yeah, I talked with DJ Pop, and he was so sad that he couldn't map anymore in his style. He had to change it.
Yeah.
Why did he have to change it?
Well,
Because people don't like it anymore, and it's a damn shame, because I really like old stuff like that. I've had to make so much adjustments and iterations to my style myself that it's just ridiculous, and trying to stay relevant it's not exactly easy. The game's ever evolving, and if you want to stay relevant, you have to change with some of your stuff. And for the people that have put over 50, 60 maps out, and I know Glady, Lesia, and Happy all probably hit very close around that number, if not over it. For them to have to come in and look at this new stuff, it's not exactly something simple. You've built up the way you see the game in your head for so long, and then for you to leave it, and alternatively you think, oh, it's a game about clicking circles, that not much can possibly change, and then you get back and everything's fucking changed, and you're like, whoa, it's crazy.
yeah, exactly.
I kind of miss the old days where DJ Pop maps were the shit and everyone used to play them.
Yep.
See, this is the change.
I don't like this change.
change.
Revert it.
Evolution of Osu.
All
Push
right.
the undo button.
Anybody else have any more on that, or are we gonna move to the last? We're gonna move to the last question, and then we're gonna open it up to the community. Anybody else?
No, but I think yeah,
Yep.
Whoop said everything.
All
I
right.
agree with him, by the way.
Yeah. All right. So
Oh,
This
and
last
Doomsday
one-
is gone.
yeah, Doomsday had to leave us, guys. We do apologize, but he was here, and it was nice. All right. Our final question here is: with the way the new ranking system works, do you feel that guest sets are something to still strive for? Or do you think eventually they're going to be completely phased out? Because there's been a lot of talk with different game modes, and there's been scares with OSZ2 not allowing people to add stuff to something once it's created and other crap like that. Now, none of that's actually set in stone, and none of it's 100%, but I feel that guest difficulties, as long as there's people willing to accept them, they're always going to be a thing. I don't think they're going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
I've actually there's actually sorry, if I interject, there's actually interesting feature request I don't know if a lot of people know about. But it's actually I think it was Logtip's request. And he was actually saying for a way to have different creators within a map set, which I think would actually be quite an interesting idea. And it would definitely be worth adding for a lot of different reasons. It would especially make updating guest difficulties a lot easier as well. Because essentially then you could have the guest mapper as the creator of that specific difficulty.
Now, would it tether everyone's, like, it just seems odd, because would it tether everybody's account? Like, okay, say for example, me and you uploaded a map, and I uploaded one difficulty, you uploaded the other one. How would we tether that to being one set?
I think it would, I don't know a lot, I don't know a lot about the specifics. It's been a while since I brushed over the request, but I do quite like the idea of having different creators within the same map set ID.
Yeah, and I can understand if like one person was to upload the ID, then the creator tag would be put onto that. But would that give them the ability, like, would that show up on their... it's something to definitely talk to them about. I don't want to get too much off of a tangent. I'm pretty sure everybody here is probably wanting to ask questions by now. Yeah, I think it's going to be something that's always going to be around. I don't think guest difficulties will ever go away. And with changes like that, if that ever happened, it would definitely make editing and adjusting it easier for everybody.
I mean, guest difficulties are becoming a lot more normal now than they were like 3 years ago, so I don't really see a reason why it would slow down anytime soon.
Alright. Okay, Sharpie, you got something to add as well?
Well, not really. I think it could be a good idea to... I don't really know, because it's hard to manage. I mean, if every players are really involved in the beat map, and if the player who created the map is involved as well, I don't see where is the problem actually. For me, it's pretty. I mean, for me, it's pretty neat.
All right, and Wolf, do you have anything to take us out of our scripted discussion?
Well, I don't think I can add anything.
Not
specific
a problem.
Time.
Okay, so now's the time that everybody's been waiting for. While this subject isn't really something that a lot of people talk about, it is something that's definitely discussed a lot. So we're going to go ahead and open this up for people to ask questions. You can direct it at any one of the people talking today. So that means Sharpie, Wolf, myself, Deadbeat. It is fine, whoever you want to ask it. Try to keep the subjects on the contents of mapping and guest difficulties. If not, silly questions are allowed. Just try to keep them to a respectable level. And we're going to go ahead and open this up now. So our first one is going to be from Kyako, which is, you know, tradition here. We don't usually break that. So we're going to go ahead and let her ask the first question, and then if you guys have questions, make sure to send her a message and let us know.
Okay, so my question is on the regard of guest difficulties, and when, okay, so say somebody were to make you a guest difficulty, but then and they keep up with it for a bit through while trying to get your map qualified and ranked, but then suddenly they just disappear and they haven't been on the game for 2 months. Would you say that it is that, because this is something I've noticed, depending on the person who looks at the map, sometimes they'll be like, okay, you're the creator of the full spread, go ahead and change it, but other times, other people will see it and they'll be like, no, you have to wait for them to come back or delete the difficulty and make a new one yourself. Would you say that if a person is not active and your map is stuck in that limbo of not being able to get ranked because the person of the guest diff is not active, would the spread creator should be able to make changes to the other person's difficulty?
Well, see, that was actually talked about, and we actually have a rule thread up for that. Now, as the way the rules currently standing, it's if you upload it to the creator, they have the ability to change it within, I think it's 3 weeks, with no reply or no response from the other person. Now, obviously, it's still up for debate, and nothing's been set in stone on it. But I feel that 3 weeks is more than enough time for someone to at least go, hey, yeah, I know this is still happening. I'm still working on it. Please don't change it. Let me do it. You know, and if they do that, that's fine. But if they've completely just devoided it, I feel that the mapper that's uploading it and taking, you know, because if there's something wrong with it, it's his ass, not the other guys, you know. He's going to be the one that has to deal with the backlash if it gets unranked, not the guest mapper, stuff like that.
I think that is a price for inviting, you know, an artist, because mappers are an artist to the project. Like, it's like, I think the architect that build a house for someone, the family that will, you know, want to change this house, they cannot do it without an agreement from architect, because it's their work. And I think it's really similar to mappers.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to say. That's what I did for my beat map, actually. Moe was AFK for some weeks, and yeah, I asked him an agreement just to know if he's AFK, if I can just change 2 or 3 things on a mod. And yeah, he just said yes, and I think it's easier like that, because otherwise it can really kill the bitmap if you don't have an agreement between all the mappers in the bitmap.
And 9 times out of 10, they're usually pretty good with being okay with it. They're usually like, yeah, man, go ahead, do whatever. And if they're like that, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, for me, it's kind of whereabouts in the map set you are. Like, if you're still in like the middle part where there's still quite a bit of changes going on, I'd probably wait for the mapper, and if nothing happens, I'd probably remove it, upload it to the as like a separate downloadable difficulty and make my own. But if we're like near the end where it's like, oh, fix this, and you can have your bubble back, I'll be like, these are kind of small changes. I don't think they're mine, and they've been gone for 3 weeks. I'll go ahead and change them. Because it's just small things like, fix this combo, move this up a bit, fix that. Who's going to complain about that? I mean, really.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really would, but every once in a while you'll find somebody that's like, no, let me do the changes, I want to be responsible for my changes, and that's fine. As long as they're there within a timely manner, I don't really care, you know? But anyways, thank you for that question, Kyoko, and we're going to be moving to the next one here. Our next question is going to be asked by Sonner. Sonner, do you have a microphone, or are you going to go ahead and type that out?
Alright, he's going to type it.
Okay, yeah, he's going to go ahead and do that in text. So just go ahead and slam us that question. Okay. The ranking criteria allows for a map to have 1 catch the beat difficulty so long as there is a full spread for the standard. Do you think this is influenced by catch the beat's community use of guest difficulties? I feel personally, and I might be completely wrong on this, but I think that the reason why you're allowed only 1 catch the beat difficulty versus having to have an entire spread for as long as it's in standard, I think it's not only just the amount of guest difficulties that catch the beat has. I also think it's that Catch the Beat's probably one of the only game modes that converts pretty decently. Yeah, it's like one of the only game modes that literally converts decently. Because if it's jumpy as heck in the standard, it's going to be jumpy as heck in the Catch the Beat. Taiko converts.
Yeah, Taiko doesn't have a restriction, right?
Taiko converts. Well, someone's saying that Taiko converts aren't that bad. It depends on if the user doesn't use custom hit sounds. You know, because if they use custom hit sounds, that'll completely break a Taiko map.
Well, I didn't know about that.
Neither did I, actually.
Maybe because I don't play Taiko.
Yeah, see, Taiko, every blue is counted by a whistle or a clap. Now, say, for example, you're following the beat of something, and it's got a snare and then, like, a hi-hat, and you're wanting to follow the beat of the music, so it's like, with the hit sounds or something like that.
Wow.
You know?
That beatbox.
So you go in and you hit sound all that, but in Taiko, it'll be like clap, 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 because you're using hit sounds for damn near everything.
We need more colors in Taiko.
No!
That would be weird.
Oh, that would be so weird.
Give us a purple!
At
What
least,
is purple?
At least hit sounds would be good.
Yeah, the hit sounds would be better. But because there's only 2 options for Taiko, red or blue, you know, like, this stuff kind of happens. Okay. I kind of feel like we got a little bit off tangent there. But yeah, so I think that's why they allow 1 difficulty, not just because of the guest sets, but because it's so easy for it to convert properly. And that way it doesn't put as much stress on the mapper either, because then they've only got to worry about 1 extra set. Say if they had the whole you need a full spread thing for the catch the beat too, then if they know nothing about catch the beat, they're gonna have to wait for like 3 other guest difficulties for catch the beat, and that would just prolong the map to be crazy. But thank you so much for that question, Sonner, and we'll see if we've got any more questions here. King Kevin has got a question here. We're gonna go ahead and give him talk power, and you guys should really ask some questions. I'm not seeing any more questions.
So
We've
yeah.
still got.
So
What's
my
up, King
question.
Kevin?
Yeah. Okay. Hi first. So my question was like, since me and Wolf are kind of like the old players, me for CDB and him for standard. Like, what makes guest difficulties special was always like how people use their placement, their difficulty settings and whatever. And like with the community growing, every player just wants to achieve more and be like, yeah, I need a more hardcore experience and whatever. And I have the feeling like that also switched into the mapping team and whatever, the BAT, MAT and whatever it was back then. So like I kind of have the feeling like the guidelines and the BATs themselves kind of restrict what kind of creativity mappers really can use in a map set, since people will disagree with their choosing whatever English is hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying though. Like basically the point you're trying to pull across here is that you feel that the ranking criteria is only catering and going higher and higher to the hardcore experience versus, you know, not allowing much creativity outside of it. Like if you try to do something simplistic, it's not going to go through anymore because it's all set to a certain thing,
like,
right? Or do I have that?
Yeah,
I have that
Evolution
back
of
as-
also.
Yeah, it had nowadays it has the standard of like using CS4 always and AR9 because we always want to play double time because we are fucking AR10 addicted, whatever. Oh yeah, so fast, click.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, well, I feel that is something that the community can stop very easily. The BAT is literally community now. It's not anything special. They're just people just like all of us. And staff really isn't anything that special either. And the first part of it is, first off, mappers have to feel that it's safe. And I feel that's something that's going on right now, is mappers don't feel that it's a safe option. They feel like their map will be completely and utterly ignored if they don't follow these phony baloney guidelines that seem to have just kind of pulled up in the world, where it has to be this circle size, or it has to be this slider speed, or it has to be this approach rate, or this overall difficulty. And I feel that stuff needs to stop, because literally, as long as it's scaling properly from each difficulty, you can make the settings whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, and like the interesting thing is we got the digit AR in CS and whatever, and like people could have used it so creatively, like because every time the AR or CS changes, people have to adjust with their mod play and what they're gonna use. And like if people just stuck to like getting close to a full AR value or CS value, then it's always like, come on, I don't know, like there's so much creative room and people just ignore it because they're like, oh no, people won't like that because it's the first time being done.
Yeah, and I understand that completely, because you know things like this do happen. And I thought it was a great thing because you can even see different circle sizes like you couldn't see before because of the decimals. And I really felt that the decimals would get used a lot more. But like nobody's really using the decimals too much. I've done a couple decibel maps, but other than that, you know, it's just something that's gonna continue to change, and hopefully for the long run, we can get enough people using other difficulty settings and feeling that it's okay. Because once people feel that it's okay, they'll be okay with ranking it. The reason why we've gotten into the situation we've gotten into now, with everything being so hard and so challenging, always pushing the limits, is because that is what the majority wants right now. I feel that eventually it'll probably build itself up to a point where it's just so ridiculous that we'll start to lose people because no one can play it, and then it'll become one of the niche games like, and I hate to call DJ Max or any of those other games niche, but not a large majority of people can play those very well. And
I think that's even true with Osu in itself. Like, if you're playing Taika or Mania in a sense of getting from a Muzukashi to a Oni, you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, I personally feel that's because the Tycho in this game is not scaled properly at all, but that's for another discussion another day.
Okay.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of one map from 2010, the beginning. I Am Morlock by Cheese Warlock.
Oh yeah. Oh, Morlock was
Yeah,
awesome, man.
that
I
was
loved
like
that.
original. The circle size was like really tiny, and just to look at the scoreboard, and you can see that there's not a lot of scores because people don't like to play maps like these because it's different than they are used to.
Yeah, that's always the reason why I like you in standards. Since every time I just see people playing like hidden double time, flashlight or whatever, and you're like the only guy who plays the old maps with like hidden hard
All
rock
maps
double
for the
time.
win.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and one of the things, Agony was another old map that had really
Oh god.
tiny circles.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Agony was awesome.
Agony is like the epitome of tiny hit circles. It really is.
Uh,
What about Rockets? That's
Porky.
the only CS, I think, 7 map that's ranked.
No,
Oh.
we even have CS8.
Oh, the
Yeah,
CS8.
Porky
Wow,
Porky
this was
Porky was
hard
the
work.
same mapper who did Agony, so
Yeah, but with CS8 we only had like two CS8 maps, and I think after that it was discontinued because no one liked that.
oh, I can
So,
imagine.
yeah.
So, I think I can't remember who it was. I'm not even sure or something, but they would I think they were trying to do it on Hard Rock, and the hit circles were just so tiny. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was CS10 with if you play CS8 with Hard Rock. Like there are even records with that, with Hard Rock Flashlight on CS8.
It's just ridiculous how people can hit them.
Yeah, on the Farucon
Need magnifying glass for this.
yeah, I almost can see you like with one hand on your tablet and with the left you're just looking through a lens like click, click, click.
And there are some old classics. We need more of these old classics to have a
Yeah,
comeback.
Like, I'm always happy if
But they can't.
reversible
They
maps
cannot
with
come
like
back.
CS7. I think, like, the only guy who really pushes CS7 or whatever is irreversible.
Yeah. Okay then. Well, thank you so much for the question there and the little talk there, King Kevin. Ginny's
Yeah.
got a question as well, so we're gonna go ahead and move them up and let them go ahead and speak that question out.
Hi. I'm audible and everything?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so what I was gonna ask is, do you feel whether in a map set there should be a certain progression and style between the different mappers? For example, do you think guestives should share a similar outlook on how the music is portrayed? For example, I would say, like, would you want to see Doomsday mapper diff on the same song as Skystar? Or
Okay,
do you
I'm gonna
think
go
you
this
would
one
want
first.
to have a similar outlook on all diffs?
I'm gonna have a go at this one first because I was kind of talking about this one earlier. And one thing I quite like is multiple difficulties at the same level within a map set, like 3 Insanes. And one of the reasons I like this is because, say if you have a Doomsday and a Skystar map, you've got two different styles that are very different. So if you don't like one, you've always got another that you can fall back on. So I think it's quite nice to give people like an extra option if they don't like something that's already available.
Yeah, that was also my thought for why I was asking this question, because it becomes a lot more conflicting if you're doing it within like a difficulty progression. Like, let's say Doomsday is doing the Insane, and then there's a diff that's slightly harder, which is then the Skystar diff. Then people who want to play the hardest stuff will logically go to that set Skystar diff, but if they wouldn't enjoy the style, they would have to go back. And I wasn't quite sure how you would balance this, because obviously style also influences difficulties and playstyles and everything. So yeah, that's just kind of something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I
again,
think
it comes down to like if you've got different people of different varieties, you can also reach out to a more wider range of players.
Yeah, but as Jenny was saying, they're looking for more consistency in a set, and I think that has to go into the that has to be discussed with the mapper and the guest difficulty creator at the same time. Like, they have to know. That's why you'll find like Leisure Happy 30 maps where they collab, stuff like that, or Glady and Leisure when they collab. If they do entire difficulties themselves, usually the set doesn't suffer that much, and I think that's because they know so much about each other that they can go in and create something and be able to accent it properly to each person. there's usually not that big of a conflicting, and there's not that big of a conflicting issue with the settings or anything like that. But if you were just going in to guest map on something because you liked the song, you knew nothing about the mapper, then you as a mapper, even if you're making the guest, might want to do a little bit of research towards the mapper. That way you're not just going in and throwing something that's so clashing. But that's just if you want to make the set proper. But like what Deadbeat was saying, though, is if you've already got a proper set and you're just stacking stuff on at the end of it, it's definitely not a bad idea to, like, because Insane's usually the most played difficulty. It's not bad to offer almost the same level of difficulty with just a different take on things. But that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, personally, I don't mind like a little bit of inconsistency within a map set. What I find is more important is having that level of consistency within a collaboration difficulty, because I feel that's where you're more likely to get tripped up, especially when, like, as we mentioned earlier, you start going from completely different playstyles within like a few combos, and it just throws you off completely. I think that's where it's more important to have
one map together.
Yeah, I think that's where it's more important to have mappers who can work well together.
Yeah.
Could I still specify this a little more? Like, I think I should have mentioned that I would have specifically wanted to have more of an outlook from the player perspective, so like from White Wolf, actually Wolf nowadays, but I'm still stuck with that old name.
Yeah, White Wolf.
I'm not sure what GD stands for though.
GD as in guest difficulties. Like, would you appreciate that? This diversity, even if it's like whether it is throughout the entire set or just at like 2 to 3 peak difficulties that are different in style. Like, would you actually play through all of these, or would you just want it to be more consistent?
I would surely play everything that's new, that's something outside the box, like, you know, go off the you know, something regular, like Charles map lately, not far ago, the Evans Sent map, I think that was called, and it was like really different, and I really liked it. And to compare Doomsday and Skystar, they are so different, and I like both of them because they hit the different spots when you play also, and no kinky jokes.
I wasn't really thinking in that direction, but now that you've mentioned it, I guess I can see the ambiguity. But yeah, thanks for the reply and stuff. And unless anybody else wants to say something still, I would like go back to the silent shadows of chat.
Okay, I think that's it. Sona's got one. One more thing I want to throw out. Are there any more technical changes planned to help people make guest difficulties or collab? Yes, I believe so. We've already gone over this, I think, in one of the AMAs, I think it was. And that was a feature request to enable live mapping. And that was something that will definitely help out with guest difficulties and collaboration, as you can have people working on the map set live at the same time. It will definitely make things a lot easier when getting things like modded or just maps in general.
Where did this route go?
I have no idea.
Probably piss. God damn it. Where is
Who knows?
Going?
But yeah, is there any other questions, or is that it for now?
I don't have a question, sir. I'm too scared to ask a question.
Tisk. Yeah, I think that's it. So I think we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for coming along. This will be up on YouTube in a few days. And just remember, guys, Rhythm is only a click away, and we'll see you all real soon.
Bye.
I've always wanted to say that.